Hey y'all, King Jeremy here. So here's part 5 to this series. So when I first got to the Philippines after my flight, we didn't immediately move into a house. For the first 2 weeks, we stayed in a hotel that while we searched for a place to rent. And looking back now, those first 2 weeks were probably my real introduction to life here. Not a tourist vacation, not a vacation version, but the real version. The version where you are trying to figure out where you're going to live, what you're going to eat, how things work, and how to build a normal daily routine in a country that's completely different than the one that I came from. I remember going to the grocery store for the first time and realizing right away that it was not going to feel like the grocery store shopping back in America. The brands are different, the layout's different, the way meat is displayed is different, the smells are different. Even the way people move throughout the store felt completely different. And I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just one of those moments where you realize how much of your life is built on habits that you never even thought about. So back in America, grocery shopping's automatic. You know the brand you buy, you know the food you trust. You know what stores look like, you know how things are packaged, you know where things are in the store, you know what feels normal. Then you're suddenly standing in a store in Zamboanga City trying to figure out what you recognize, what you don't recognize, what's good, what's safe, what tastes familiar, and what you're going to have to learn to like. And that was a big part of the first couple of weeks, learning. Now, we had to make things work with what we really had. So we were in a hotel room. So it's not like we had a full kitchen. We weren't cooking big meals like in America. So the rice cooker that we bought, along with the hot water thermos, became important very, very fast. So it wasn't just a small appliance. That was like our survival equipment. So rice, simple meals, whatever we could make work, that became part of our routine for the first couple of weeks. That hot water thermos is how I made coffee. Now, no fancy setup, no Keurig, no kitchen counter, no American style coffee maker of any sort. Hot water, instant coffee, and just figuring it out. And honestly, those are the things that I remember. Because in those moments, you're not just visiting another country anymore. You're adjusting to living here. Now, you start realizing that comfort isn't always about having everything the way you had it back in America. Sometimes, comfort is just having a coffee in the morning, even if it's made completely different than what you're used to. Sometimes, comfort is having rice and a simple meal in a hotel room because that's what the season requires. Sometimes knowing is that you are with people that you love, even if everything around you feels unfamiliar. One of the harder adjustments for me was honestly food safety. That's a real culture shock. Now, in America, we are taught to think about food safety in a very specific way. Meat has to be handled a certain way, food has to be stored a certain way, refrigeration, expiration dates, packaging, sanitation, all of it's drilled into you very early. Then you come here and you realize the standards and habits around food can be very, very different. Now, I'm not saying this as an insult, it's just different. There were things that I had to get used to, things that I questioned, things that made me uncomfortable at first. Now, I had to learn what was normal here, what I was personally okay with, and where I needed to set my own personal boundaries. Now, because when you move to another country, you cannot expect everything to operate the way that you grew up with or where you came from. But at the same time, you also have to be honest about what your body, your mind, and your comfort level can actually handle. Those first 2 weeks taught me that adjustment is not always some big emotional moment. Sometimes that adjustment looks like standing in a grocery aisle confused. It looks like eating meals from a rice cooker in a hotel room. It looks like making instant coffee with hot water because that's what you have. And then sometimes it's just trying not to judge everything too quickly because it's different than what you're used to. Now, if I'm being honest, I probably did judge some things at first. Not because I thought that I was better, not because I was uncomfortable. It was just out of my normal environment. I was far from everything that was familiar. Now, and I was trying to build a place in a life that I did not fully understand yet. But that's part of the story. You don't move halfway or all the way across the world for love and instantly become adjusted. You learn little by little. You make mistakes, you ask questions, you try foods, you avoid other foods, you get frustrated, you laugh, and then you adapt. And slowly, this place that once felt overwhelming starts to feel like home. Those first 2 weeks in the hotel were not glamorous. They were simple. They were awkward. They were uncomfortable at times. but they were also the beginning of this life that I'm building, and the beginning of me learning to live here, not just visit. And I thank God for that season because it humbled me a whole lot. Now, it showed me that the way that love may have brought me to the Philippines, but patience was going to be required to actually build the life here. Now, in looking back, I'm very grateful for those little hotel room memories. The rice cooker meals, the hot water coffee, the grocery store confusion, the food safety shock, and then the searching for a place to rent. All of it. Because that was the beginning of our real life here. Not perfect, not polished, but real. And that is exactly why I want to remember it. Peace and blessings. Stay tuned. Continue to watch.